Welcome to Sad Boys.
Please.
All right. Well.
No, I'm sorry, dude. No, I hate to get in the way. You know that, and please fire away.
All right. Welcome to
Sad. Don't want to get in the way of the
okay,
podcast when we're trying to get the momentum going. It's the latency, dude. I'm sorry. I was actually talking to. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, well, just gonna try it again.
No, please. And now it would be insane for me to do it a third time. The bit surely can't sustain for that long.
Especially not because this isn't the first time that you've done this to me.
Definitely not. That would be insane. What's up? You good, brother?
Welcome to Sad Boys, podcast about feelings.
All right, he's done it.
All right. Welcome to Sad Boys, a podcast about feelings and other things also. I'm Jarvis.
And I have to be Jordan. I have to.
Jarvis was taken.
Hey, I'm as mad about it as anyone.
Those are the only two names.
I'm going to start camping V Sympathy V on any other platform I can find.
And I'm still looking for it whenever it's available.
Hunting down Magic Jarvis. First try Jarvis, second try Magic Jarvis, third try V Sympathy V.
It is definitely first try Jarvis, second try Magic Jarvis. That is often.
Is there anything else on the list?
Goes. Oh, I mean, like usually it's like Jarvis with extra S's and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That before V Sympathy V?
V Sympathy V is fairly low on the list. I would say it's roughly 1,000. If my first 1,000 options are not taken. Well, it depends. What year is it? Because if it's 2005, then it's number one.
You there, boy. What year is this? I put it at a nifty 2015.
Okay, then it's definitely going for Jarvis.
Okay. When did it get sunset?
V Sympathy V probably instantly. I think I even changed the name of the account that was V Sympathy V. Eventually, I changed it to Castled King, which I thought was cool. And then I believe it was like Magic Space Jarvis, but before that it was Jarfish.
I don't hate that at all.
Jarfish is what I was a camp counselor in high school, and Jarfish was what a lot of the kids thought my name was, and it was adorable.
Oh, that's kind of cute. And you were too afraid of them to correct them.
Those kids, they could climb me. They would climb on top of me, and I couldn't hold them all down at once, so they would topple me. They would control my
like
mind.
Like the BFG.
They would topple me like the statue of a racist old guy.
Oh, a bunch of libs, I see.
Yeah, there we go.
A lib cut camp of sorts. Did you bring kind of a cool Chad energy, or a dorky nerd support energy for those like the dorkier of the kids? Or my personal favorite, Christian youth pastor vibe with like an acoustic.
I think I'm like Christian youth pastor vibe without a guitar, but very much
without
like
the cool part.
Yeah, without the cool part. Because I just wanted the kids to have a good time. So the kids, they were all full of energy, and I am a people pleaser. So I would always like lift them up, and I would basically play around with them, allow them to roughhouse.
Have them stand on the shoulder of giants.
Yeah, and I was the giant. There is a photo, and I don't know where it is, but it's of like 6 kids like dangling from my body. It's like me as a chunky kid. Like there's like a kid on each shoulder. There's like a kid on my legs, and I'm just like walking them all through the playground as like some sort of Katamari of children.
Da, 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 and you throwing them through the camp center window.
Yeah.
Do you think you're in the best shape of your life?
No. I want to get back to, I think I was in the best shape of my life maybe a couple of years ago. I feel like I've recently let myself go, and I need to stop eating comfort food and start eating uncomfortable food, and then go outside and play more Beat Saber as well. And then I will be in the best shape of my life, and I'll be excited about
those
that.
Other three things.
I do think I look the best I've ever looked. But
I agree.
But I want to.
You still like shit, dude.
I know.
I mean, you just fucking look like shit. More or less forever.
I was.
Now you almost look good.
That's true. It's all true.
I mean that.
I mean that too. I'm on your side here. Literally, I'm on the left side of the stream instead of the right side.
Hello.
Like I usually am. I'm on your side.
Come on.
It's just the boys today. We've not got a guest by design. We did this on purpose. We haven't been having enough just the boys episodes.
Yeah. We for people that are, I guess, on the newer side, the old archive shows that the 2017-2018 era was vast majority boys only.
True.
Wait, did we make it in 2018 at any point, or was it 2017 only?
2017 and 2018. Last episode was, I want to say June of 2018, July of 2018. It was VidCon.
Oh, yeah, of course it was, because it was Briggan and then Charlie, and then we were Rowdy.
Yeah, that was when we called it quits.
2 guests so awful, we just didn't want to do it anymore.
We put out the episode on overcommitting, and then we quit.
But did anyone DM you about it?
It's
Have you ever received a DM of it?
Well, you know what's really funny is that I forgot. You know how when you have a cold or something, you're like, I can barely remember a time where I didn't have a cold. I just want to.
That's like a dream. That's like youth.
And I don't know about you, but I find myself going like, please God, like I will appreciate the mundane, normal health of me not having a ailment. That's kind of how I feel about the period known, I think, as the Dark Ages, when we weren't releasing Sad Boys and people were DMing us about bringing back the podcast for a year and a half. I forgot that happened because now that we're doing the podcast, I like totally forgot that was a thing. But man, that was annoying actually.
It hurt to not be making it.
It hurt to not be making it. And it also hurt to like need to explain why it wasn't happening because it was always a complicated answer. And it was like, the short answer was we were not in the space to be making it, but the long answer was very logistics oriented.
There's not much of a narrative to it in a pretty uninteresting way. Like there's not even like a big explosion as to why it's, I mean, I suppose the closest thing to an interesting why not was me moving to LA, but that was a good few months after we wrapped it up. Like 4 months.
It's kind of like one of those like snooze button things where we were like, oh, we'll do the show in person again because we couldn't possibly do it remotely, and that has proven to be true. And so I completely forgot the period of our lives where we weren't doing the show but it had existed previously. So what's also cool is that there are people who listened to it back then who are now like graduating high school or some shit, or like
our children.
Yeah. That's weird. It's also weird to me when people go back and binge the podcast because they end up knowing the show better than I do because I barely remember the 2017 version of the pod.
I struggle to retain some in-jokes with what were once and continue to be extremely close friends. I remember Justin, that like stuck in my brain because it was referenced 250 times, including by us.
Yeah.
Whereas, wait, no, this is how bad I am at it because there's a little delay. There's like a couple weeks after the episode we record and the episode comes out, depending on the urgency of the episode. Now, I forgot about Cool Jordan 2 weeks after I did it.
Oh, really?
Somebody hit me up about the Sabrina episode when it came out, and they were like, "Hey, dude, Cool Jordan's back at it again." I was like, that's really nice of you to say that I'm cool.
What's funny about it to me is that there's a cool Jarvis character in the world of my YouTube videos that has exactly the same shtick. So it's like
same boy. That's Chad Boys.
Yeah, Chad Boys. Ooh, Cool Jarvis and Cool Jordan in the same. What is this? A crossover episode?
We would kill each other. It would be a singularity.
That's true. Jordan, we've got a lot to talk about today. I don't want this to be just like a State of the Union episode or something because we'll get to everything in due time. But I do want to hear what's up with your computer because I shipped it off, I think, last Friday. And there's a tracking number. And I
picked up by notoriously efficient company FedEx.
Yeah, Federal Express. What happened? What's the deal? It's the trash, or I was going to call it the trash update. Damn, that's roasting your computer.
It technically right now is trash.
Jordan's PC update. It's an update for a PC
owned by Jordan.
Shipped across
I guess give it a tariff. A lot of logistics and surprising expenses that make no sense. Later, it arrives, big old box. Kind of see it right there, isn't it, in the crop? Well, no flex, but I do own a box. And very well packed. Thank you so much, Jarvis. Very efficient. Comes fully structured. I get that graphics card back in. Everything's working. Very proud of myself. I did spend an hour unable to figure out why it wouldn't turn on. Put all the same switch ports back in, only to tilt the computer slightly and realize that a big portion of the power was not plugged in. But I don't have a CS degree, so I don't know. You have to plug things in order for them to be powered. And because I prayed, I got my acoustic out. I spoke to him, capital H.
Capital H. With the guitar, though. You have to... God loves an acoustic cover.
Come on, bitch. I just want to play Valorant. You big shit.
Come on, bitch. That's how the Bible starts.
me leaning down on like, it's raining outside. My wife has left me. My cop partner has been killed. And I'm just leaning down like, come on, bitch.
Come on, bitch.
I pray for anything, you big bitch.
Come on, bitch. It's like that Freddy Krueger character from Rick and Morty. You can run, but you can't hide, bitch.
Actually, just the other night, me and Mel watched Freddy vs. Jason with very little experience with either series. Let me tell you, the producers of that movie are very cautious about saving the budget until the last 20 minutes. Because it fucking pops, dude. It's like genuinely, because I was always under the impression that like, welcome to prototype, I'll pull you into the dream world and then I'll torture you. But like the fight does not take place in the dream world. Freddy is pulled out of the dream world and they just beat the shit out of each other for 15 full minutes. He's like stabbing him and he cuts off his arm and then he uses his arm to beat him and then he tackles him onto like some construction equipment and hits him with that like wrecking ball. It's just like so good.
I saw that movie in the theater and I couldn't tell you a single thing about it. Because I saw it
garbage.
When it came out. I don't know. It came out 1,000 years ago. I was a child, I think.
There's a point that she kind of tames Jason. Because she's able to enter his dreams for no particular reason, and she's just like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that you drowned as the boy," because he had a facial deformity, and all the kids were bullying him. And then he's coming out of the water, and she grabs his hand, and then when she sees his face, he drops him back in the water. He just lets go again. It's such a depressing movie, very very forgettable. But R.I.P.C. for now.
R.I.P.C.
Peace, computer. R.I.P.C. But only a component of PC. I got very, very frustrated and sad. I'll touch on like why it was so frustrating in a sec, which is a little bit more sad.
So like, I just want to play back some of the story as I understand it. So you unbox it. Previously on RIPC. You unbox it. You figure out how to plug it in with the power cable and stuff. It wasn't turning on, but then you plugged it in and now it does turn on.
It's turning on. I was able to, I placed everything back in, including the graphics card, took everything out, put it back in. Aside from the motherboard, everything worked. Gucci main. However, when booting up, I was getting zero image on either of my monitors. I tried a bunch of different HDMI cables, a bunch of different monitors, a TV. I went back wild and I just couldn't make it work. I'll touch on like the why I was so angry about it in a mo, part of which was just we're waiting like 2 weeks after it was fucking shipped, and despite the fact that it was supposed to be super quick, because FedEx kept cocking up. At one point they left it in Krakow, and I was like, hey, it was in my county, and then you took it to somewhere it had never been before.
You were like
to get like cultural knowledge, I guess.
Let's take it to Poland, because you know that's probably where it got broken too, because like the reason I shipped it quickly was so that it didn't spend much time in transit. Yeah. Because that's like where all the shit can go wrong, yeah.
With notoriously violent people, the Polish. I have no idea if that's a
and those motherfuckers hate motherboards.
Well, I'll say they are the CD Projekt Red, the creator of The Witcher and the upcoming Cyberpunk, are Polish. So I have a lot of unconditional love for them, and I frankly should leave them alone. Yeah, it does have pictures from the trip. It has a bunch of Polaroids of the Polish kicking its ass, unfortunately. If I knew a single trope about Poland, I would say that they put like a sauna on the box or something, but I don't know Poland at all.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Poland. But except for the Krakow
famous Polish shepherd's pie.
Displate is located in Poland, and I did a brand deal with them. So
that's two big W's from Displate.
When I was running late on delivering my video, I kept looking at what time it was in Warsaw, and then going, well, it's midnight in Warsaw, so who's going to review the video right now?
Famously inefficient people, the Polish. When does this? I don't know any of this, so I don't know if it is racist. I don't know any of it for sure. And since when is ignorance racist?
Also, since when is being a nationality a race?
That's true. Yeah, you're right. It's fine. You're actually right, Jarvis. It's good.
Wait, so your PC, there was like a
My Epic
montage.
Gaming PC.
There was a montage of like dots on a map and different pins and different
Looking
flags.
for clues.
Yeah,
Hunting down Moriarty.
Lots of stamps and things from different locations while it was on tour, your PC. And
But it arrived. It come to me, and thankfully in my town there's a weird, like an uncharacteristically high number of computer repair shops. I think because for a town that like does not have like a place where you can buy a like computer. like you couldn't do that independently.
That did surprise me.
There is a fairly large pensioner community, and I think they things break and they get worried. But I took it in. They gave me a great assessment. I don't have to pay anything until they theoretically fix it. And they've ordered a new CPU to try out that should work with everything. I was like, I can just build this. Can I just keep what I have, buy a new CPU and stuff? And they were like, this is a pretty fucking sick Epic Gamer PC. Their words, not mine. And I was like, okay, let's give it another chance. They say it looks pretty good. They've ordered a piece. It's the countryside, so it does take a calendar year for anything to arrive. So the CPU should get there on Monday. They'll try installing it. They say that everything else seems to work. It's just that the CPU is cocked. So it's probably like £100 and we'll be all set. Cool. When the PC arrives, this is a heads up to everyone. I have, on the stream the other night, I drank a lot of red wine, and I made the very clear statement, which I stand by, that we are going to have a celebratory stream that runs like 5 hours long. I'm going to get various friends, including yourself, Jarvis, to call in and congratulate me while I play.
Right.
And we're going to wrap it up with about an hour after that gaming section. We're going to play some Jackbox. We're going to go nuts. I'm going to wrap it up right at the end by creating a song about my PC, about my gaming, my Epic Gaming computer. And it will be called Epic.
I like that a lot.
For people who've been tuning into the latest streams, we've been doing some like Mark Ribbolette, Reggie Watts improvised stream. We did a vote on what the theming should be, and we ended up with the tone being sad, and the topic for the verse, I get one chance to do a verse.
Do not miss your chance to blow.
I actually, is that my mom's spaghetti? For fuck's sake.
God damn it.
Yet again. Didn't even eat it. She just spilled it on me. I'm going to take one shot of tequila.
You only get one shot. Sorry.
Wait, can I miss my chance to blow? More spaghetti, mother. I've tequila right at the beginning, and then we're going to drink by just holding the bottle by hand. We're going to knock back a bottle of champagne. So it should get a little nutty, a little bit wild. Gonna play
that is an
games.
absurd plan.
Yeah, I'm a nasty lad. I do them dirty like that. And much like we did in the last stream, I'll be putting Post-its on my face for any followers that come up, and I'll be writing any new subs on pen on my chest. So, come along now. Why don't you see? I'll wear this armor's thing. I bought the most gaudy, disgusting suit jacket I've ever seen with vertical gold stripes. We'll be wearing that on the stream. Getting a little nasty. I'm gonna green screen myself into your apartment.
Okay.
It'll be a whole thing.
Do you need like a full? I can give you like a bunch of photos that you can make a 3D model. Yeah.
3D like BDG. Yeah. Dream. Yeah, I gonna set that all up. It'll be a whale of a time. But I got really, it looks like it should be okay. I'll stop boring people with logistics, and I'll move on to like why I got so sad and angry about it. It took like 2 days from me, a little bit. I just got really down about it. And I was like, why am I being such a brat? What is this about? And I talked to my friend Joel. I talked to my mom about it a little bit because I was just stuck in this little depression, and they both were calling me and being like, what's up? Because we're all supposed to go to lunch. And I think in part it's ADHD has been rampant lately because I'd cut down my Adderall in an attempt to sustain my limited supply because it cost me about $400 to $500 to get it delivered here because it's not made in the UK, and they won't give me anything because I can't get a psychiatrist appointment because the world appears to be on fire. I don't know what it's about. So I wanted to sustain it as long as possible, but I can't. So I've gone back to my old one. It's just cutting a third. Going back to my OG, and it's really helping. But prior to that, and even with it, I've just had a complete inability to feel passionate, like really, truly passionate about the things that I'm doing. And I fucking love streaming. And yet, when it comes to building out the stream, developing the assets that I need, I'm so blocked by the PC. I just can't. Yeah. I can't do anything with my Mac. There's so little I can do to like really level it up. Yeah. And part of it was that I wanted to feel like, yes, I've evolved. It's time. Let's go nuts. Me and Sabrina have DM'd about playing Fall Guys like 15 times. And every time I'm like, I think it's right around the corner. And then it got delayed again. And now I feel a little bit more enthusiastic about it because at least there's a fix coming. But it's just one of those, I just want a free win. Like, this isn't free. I built the fucker. I paid like I saved up. I paid like $2,000 a few years ago to get all the pieces. I worked my ass off to build it. And now, because I had the audacity to want to have something I own, it's just like all these logistical hurdles. And I think a big part of the frustration was, this is a little bit of me getting to be back in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I played with friends on that PC. We're going to play together. Me and Stans are going to play together. We and Sabrina are going to play together. Eddie and Gus. There's like all of these opportunities, both for fun and the growth of my stream, and I just can't do it. And something about being so ungrounded, having nothing in this apartment that is really mine, or feeling like I'm putting down roots. It was. I realized that it was not literally the PC. It was like the PC just kind of represented this. Yeah, you deport me all you like, but I'll never stop being epic.
Yeah.
Epic till the day that I die, thank you. My steam will come with me.
Yeah, I'm excited for the extravaganza of gaming that you're going to do. I would love to be present for a lot of that because I want to play Fall Guys. I want to play Tony Hawk. I want to play all the games.
I want to play some Boney Hawk. Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
And now you can break your bones. I like the look of that. Do you ever play Skate? The Skate series?
I never owned it because I believe it was an Xbox exclusive at some point, but maybe not always.
I think the first one was, yeah.
Yeah, and then I didn't have that console, but I played it at like GameStops. I would like play the demo at GameStops because the premise of it was that it was more realistic in terms of like the inputs required to do the tricks and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's cool. I mean, if they put another one out, I'd play it. So Tony Hawk, the remake of Tony Hawk 1 and 2 just came out on PC and like PS4. I bought it on PC and PS4, by the way. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just wanted.
It was in a fugue state.
One day I was on the couch and I was like, my computer is in the other room. I want to play Tony Hawk and I don't want to move very far. So I just bought it.
I was covered in pieces of my American Express card.
I'm excited about it. But one thing I want is I miss the like GTA elements of like Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, you know?
Yeah.
Like where you get off your board and you're like, let me do a quest. Let me fucking do a fucking fetch quest for some old guy.
Actually, one thing I kind of want to do with you, I kind of want to play GTA Online, which is not normally something I'm wild about, but I want to join like an RP server. And just like go into a role-playing server, not be like overly trolly or shitty, but just have like, I want to experience it. I've opened for like 15 minutes an Overwatch RP server in the past, and it's just sociologically really interesting. Like I just kind of want to exist in it.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm feeling so inspired lately. It's a really good feeling. Yeah, I mean.
Well, let me ask. I think that's more or less my. There's some other stuff actually, but like, how was your week? Because we've talked about it a teensy bit, but I want that juice, baby.
The week, there's some like personal stuff I'm going through that's tough this week, but work-wise, feeling pretty inspired, pretty validated. We talked about it in the Mac episode, but made the Smart House video. And it didn't perform super well, which was to be expected. But then LeVar Burton saw it, and that was cool.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Steve Blum, the voice of Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop, retweeted my video for some reason. It's the weirdest crossover in history. But that's like some legendary shit that I'm like, how did I get involved? And then I have just been getting a lot of work validation, which is cool, even if it's not in the form of views. I had this like very out of body moment where we had a little meeting. Like we have a Sad Boys meeting on Tuesdays, just with Jordan and I, and then a couple of the people who help us do the show. And it was a very cool feeling because it was like, oh, it's all my friends and we're making stuff that we like. And we're just like talking about making stuff that we like. And that was fun. It's kind of a dream.
It's been like a very logistically focused process for a little while, and I think the mission, at least even independently of Sad Boys, is like, can we just have like a little family of creator boys and friends?
Yeah.
Can we just get Anastasia, Darren, and Tyler to join our family and just make stuff collectively and talk more even outside of just Sad Boy stuff?
It's also so cool that like everyone's like working on, I mean, except for Tyler, who's just like getting married or some shit.
Yeah.
Shooting like weddings and stuff and just being, a photographer and videographer.
He's obsessed with marriage, dude.
It's crazy. He loves his wife.
First
He's like
Chance
the Rapper.
Yeah, that's true. He's going to put out a pretty underwhelming album about it.
Yeah. But great mixtapes.
Oh, killer.
But, Darren's like getting featured on like Spotify playlists, editor's choice things and stuff is so sick. And then like Anastasia's Dunktown podcast, shout out to Dunktown, is doing super well. And it's just like, I'm excited to see my friends thriving and succeeding. And I really just want to have an environment where, you know, our friends can like make stuff. And yeah, that's fun. And yeah, just generally, this week has been good. I watched a bunch of, I just want to give a shout out to Brian David Gilbert. I think I'm in love with this man and his content. If you haven't heard of Brian David Gilbert, he is a video producer for Polygon, and he does like a streaming variety show. He also does a series called Unraveled, which is my favorite thing ever to exist. I bought 3 green screens that are showing up tomorrow because I was so inspired by Unraveled.
He's also a very sweet boy.
Yeah, he seems so nice. And he always includes good hot takes in his content, which I appreciate.
And with just like an insane, he makes really high concept videos.
Yeah.
Like sometimes months of planning in advance. Like he
or
grew
a year
mustache for an entire season of the show and then ended that season with a video that could only work because he had it.
Like one of his videos, he doesn't like know anything about Halo, but then read every Halo novel over the course of a calendar year. And that was a commitment that it's just like, dear God, man, you could get this many views doing 1% of the amount of work that you're doing. But it's just like, I just appreciate the craft so much. And
I love when there's a clip of him talking with his, like, a little insight into the Polygon work culture and how outside of it he has to be to make videos like that. Like they play a cyberpunk, role
Cyberpunk
GTRPG
2020
campaign.
Yeah.
And every now and then he's just like, that's like his involvement. And then you get a screenshot of his Slack. And it's like, is everybody ready for the weekly? And he's like, I just finished this chapter of the Halo novel. Do you guys think Waluigi's sexy?
Yeah, it's great. I also love the bits that he does where it's very work culture. It's very much, for me, like slacking his coworkers about things. It's just like it like takes me back to Patreon.
If he was writing his bits in Asana, I'd nut. Like that would be the last thing that I could really fall in love with.
Yeah, I know. So this is...
he's also... we don't know Brian.
No.
But... dream guest.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a public call out. Brian David Gilbert, we here at Sad Boys formally invite you to guest on the Sad Boys podcast, a comedy podcast about feelings. We're a fan of your work. Jordan's a fan,
and we'll take it as a personal affront if you don't.
Yeah, we will be personally offended. That's all.
Anyway, best love.
I love becoming obsessed with like a creator and just like feeling really inspired. I love it when people remind me of like making stuff being fun. That's like a great energy to be around. Now I'm standing on my standing desk now. We're standing
no
boys.
Sweat. Yeah, people were surprised that the whatever the last 1, 2, 3 go video we did was. Some people were surprised that I was tall. I'm like, you think I'd be this fucking lanky and I don't get that as well? What kind of karmic... Was I a like serial killer in my last life? That would be such a crazy punishment.
Yeah. Also, I'm not that tall. I'm just, like Jordan's taller than I am.
Yeah, and stronger and better and cooler.
That's true.
But that doesn't mean you're not strong, better, and cool. You're not. But you can imagine how you could be. That's like putting on a pair of AirPods and then picking up a Grammy.
And then peeing in said Grammy and putting it in the toilet.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Kanye West. Let's
back at it again.
Throw it over to our Kanye segment.
Why is everybody so Kanye
to Kanye? Why is everybody so Kanye to Kanye? I want to say a few things about Kanye. One, we like Kanye West. We're fans of him. When we joke about Kanye's tweets or Kanye's antics, we're not making light of his bipolar disorder or of any manic episodes. We're laughing with Kanye. When Kanye makes a joke, we point at said joke and go, nice one, Kanye. We don't go, look at this crazy man.
This is certainly not I can't be racist, I have black friends. I myself am a bipolar lad.
Yeah.
I think there is a danger in assuming that any kind of eccentric behavior by Kanye is just his issues with his mental health. Kind of robs him of the ability to be fun or
to be fun. Yeah, it's like let's not pretend that everything this man does is an expression of his bipolar disorder. Like, let him be
he's
a
like
person.
either reading a book in a tree or he's crazy. That's his two statuses.
It's like Kanye has always been self-aware. He's always been goofy. It's a consistent element. It's been a consistent element of his art. The example that I gave to someone today or the other day was like in, Diamonds from Sierra Leone. I believe it's the first one and not the remix, but it could be the remix. I can never remember the verses, but he's like, he's talking about how at the VMAs or whatever, Alicia Keys tried to talk some sense in him. 30 minutes later, seen there's no convincing him. What could you ask for? The international asshole who complains about what he is old and throw a tantrum like he is 3 years old. You gotta love it though. Somebody still speaks from his soul. It's like he's calling himself a child. He knows he's got antics.
I just want to separate us from some recent Kanye behavior. I think his endorsement of Donald Trump and Donald Trump's ideology and then shooting for president is pretty fucking abhorrent.
Yeah.
But
yes. So
again, doesn't rob him of other things.
Yeah, this is all in the context of our bit Keep Doing That, Kanye, which is a reference to the things that Kanye should continue doing, which is joking lightheartedly, and the stuff that he should not be doing, which is running for president. Though his recent antics are, look, he tweeted 100 times in an hour, so I'm not super up to speed with Kanye's tweets at the current moment, but my understanding is that he's arguing that he wants to create a transparent like startup incubator for music similar to Y Combinator, and he then proceeded to tweet his entire music contract with Universal.
Wait, really? I missed that.
Yeah. He literally tweeted page by page images of his contract. I downloaded like the whole thing. I know someone else was going to chronicle it, but I was like, look, I'm going to...
You might be the hero we need.
Yeah. It's just like, I just think it's super interesting. Like, he's saying good things because he's talking about how artists are taken advantage of by record companies. It's
and if
a valid
anybody's
point.
in a position to put that on full display, full transparency with relatively little consequence, like either Universal is going to be a little lenient because they don't want to lose Kanye, or he has to pay some fees that he can afford.
Yeah. Also, I do want to backtrack and say that like I by no means am co-signing any of Kanye's like legitimately harmful behavior.
But please keep doing this over here.
But please
Kanye.
keep doing this over here. And it's also a complicated situation because, I have a lot of like, I grew up listening to Kanye's music. I was a big fan of him. I, for a long time, was a Kanye apologist. No longer consider myself a Kanye apologist because I think that like some of his behavior is, you can't sort of explain it away. But I do hope for a future where Kanye is not, where he's shaking things up in a healthy way and not in a way that like genuinely harms people. That's kind of the impetus behind the Keep Doing That Kanye thing anyway. We have
him on one of those, weird kid leashes that some parents will have if they're walking in like DTLX. They don't want the kid to wander into traffic. They got one of those little leashes and the kid's like looking at a Jack in the Box and is intrigued by the colors and walking. It's like, no, come look at this thing.
It's
here.
like, come
you
over
like
here.
This toy, right?
Come over here, Kanye. Put down the beer, Kanye. We've had a year, Kanye.
I miss the old version of Kanye minus some of the choices that he made relative to that period of time.
Yeah, I miss the Kanye, not the Grammy P Kanye. Oh yeah, Kanye did. Yeah. He did kind of, he tweeted a video of one of his Grammys in the toilet while he was peeing into it. So he's
with an excellent caption.
What did he say? Like it never stops.
It's like, trust me, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah. And it's like, do you mean what is this in reference to?
Have you very, very hydrated?
I think that like, is he going to keep peeing forever? It almost was a perfect loop. So like he needed a few like pointers from the Vine community to turn that shit.
But he also needed to keep moving because he had 999 other tweets to put out.
He had a lot of other tweets to put out. But anyway, I don't know. Kanye is a very complicated figure in our society. But while he has the megaphone that he has, I think it's interesting to discuss him. I think that there are far more problematic people that we could be discussing that I don't want to discuss. But Kanye, like, I can't help but feel like while he is hard-headed, his heart is in the right place. You know what I mean? And that's something
Yeah.
that like, and it's like, maybe it's like, I'm an apologist for like a problematic relative or
A
something.
small confirmation bias, because we would both love for that to be the case and for like there to be have you watched the Letterman interview on Letterman's Netflix show with him?
I haven't actually. I've saved that for a rainy day for whatever reason.
No, I know exactly what you mean. That was when I engaged with it. I was feeling a little nostalgic, and I sort of, my hope was I could deter my pessimism around Kanye. I could like temper that a little bit so that maybe I can even listen to College Dropout again and have the same enthusiasm I had before.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it. Late Registration was an essential album to me. That came at a point where I had like such a huge complex about whether I was allowed to be black.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether I had maintained my black card, because I hadn't got my melanin injections yet. I wasn't sure if it counted.
And you clearly haven't gotten them in a while because you're looking like a ghost, man. No,
Thank you, dude. I'm afraid, dude.
No.
But yeah, I that interview is enlightening. It's also very insightful as to his self-awareness regarding his mental health. I think he's far more aware of it than most are. He makes this great offhanded crack with like perfect delivery where he just goes. And the media, when you're struggling with that, some people might refer to it as chaotic. Or like he uses like some of the key phrases that tabloid journalism always uses, and there's like a big puff off. It's great. Kim's in the audience, I think. It's just like this really, really healthy approach. It's an environment he's clearly comfortable in. And then in the last 15 minutes, I mean, it's an hour-long interview with which also has like these little interstitials where Letterman is like looking at, he's at his house and they're going through his shoe collection, and like he's like a big kid in some ways, and it's kind of fun and endearing. And I really I felt for the guy in ways I didn't even know I could, especially from a relatability standpoint. And then they talk about policy at the end, and it's really because it comes from the problem is that he's co-signing a philosophy that he doesn't know is tricking him. He is not insincere. He's not the historical, classical leading class of Republican where they barely believe any of the things that they're espousing, but it benefits them on a financial or cultural level, or maintains a power structure where they're comfortable. Most of those fuckers don't fucking believe in or push down a woman's right to choose. They don't give a shit about abortion. It means nothing to them. They just realized that
evangelicals that's the thing with abortion. It's like they only started caring about abortion when they were losing enough of their base. Yeah, they were losing enough of their base that like they needed to bring in evangelicals, and that's like the biggest evangelical.
They need the constituency to reinforce the laws that benefit them. And Kanye engages with those laws and policies in a really sincere way. And it's different. It's like watching somebody on Punk'd not realize it's a joke even when Ashton Kutcher comes out.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
He's still upset. That part is really, really hard, and it does rob a little bit of the weight from it. Not necessarily because it's like news, but I think the veil that he was looking at it through, or the lens he was using, I found super demoralizing. Partially because it hit me as Kanye truly is in many, many ways in when it comes to aesthetics, and I don't just mean visuals. I mean like tonal, philosophical aesthetics and lyricism, and I don't know, like academics. Like it's not necessarily traditional academics, but the way he retains information and processes it is very unique. The art that he makes as a result is very unique, fascinating, influential. Seeing him be sucked in by that ideology designed to trick him and designed to marginalize the community he thinks it's empowering it's kind of like intellectually insulting. Like I see that and I'm just like, this guy's dumb. Like this guy's dumb. And when I felt excited about it being intelligent and being like, ooh, I aspire to this level of like aesthetic design. I'd love to make merch that was that fucking cool. And then all of a sudden it's like, I don't know, man. It's like if I like met Bill Nye and then he was suddenly like, I'm against all this flat earth stuff and everything, but if you heard about Gamergate, and I'd just be like, oh, damn, Bill, you ruined it. You ruined you.
It's interesting because I was a big fan also, like College Dropout, Late Registration. I can still listen to them to this day because it kind of like, it's sort of trapped in time in a way that like doesn't kind of like future things that happened don't count in those albums. But yeah, it's like pretty upsetting. I had Yeezys and I like sold them because I like didn't want to kind of be like publicly like supporting him. It's such a tricky it's so hard. I agree that he's troubled in his ways, but I also agree that he is smart, and I also think that it's like I just don't know what the answer is. Only he does. Yeah, I don't even know like what there is to say, but
you can say with confidence whether he's super aware of it and sees that it benefits him or it's giving him exposure or whatever. It's amoral. What he's doing is immoral, and I don't believe that ignorance is the excuse for it, nor is the quality of your mental health. I think it can be certainly a reason behind why you're expressing it in the way you're expressing it, but it's fucked up, and it's okay for it to be fucked up pretty consistently.
Yeah.
You know Killer Mike, right? Part of Run the Jewels, independent artist. He is super vocal about his support of gun ownership. And his rationale behind it is that, and it's like not a crazy one, dude's from Atlanta, so I imagine you know some of the culture or relate to it to a degree. He does not trust the institution to protect him from cops, from home invaders, from the broader racist Georgian community. He wants to own a fucking gun. He wants to shoot people that make him feel endangered. If somebody comes into his house, he wants to shoot them with a gun. And it's like not a crazy argument. It's more the broader impact of it. It's like, but if we can reduce the idea that person coming into your house has a gun and we can give you like a katana blade instead or something, we reduce school shootings by like 99%. So like,
yeah. And it's also like, it's like none of these figures are without their issue as well, like even Killer Mike. But it's a hard line to toe because you don't want to completely like write someone off, any person like who didn't deserve it, right? Like you don't want to just like completely dismiss someone. It's kind of hard to have a nuanced dialogue about things. Like a thing that I noticed like Killer Mike and Kanye doing, but Kanye more specifically, is like engaging earnestly on ideas that are not, it's like whether or not he's being tricked, he's engaging earnestly on harmful ideas that should not be given the time of day to be engaged with. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's part of the problem. Like Kanye is a little bit in this boat, but like the Black Trump supporters who are like, I haven't experienced racism or something like that. Like, it's like you're kind of like people who are like denying, they're kind of playing into other people's narratives that don't actually benefit them. It's probably how a lot of like the Black community and how a lot of people like felt about politics and stuff when I was growing up. It's like everybody kind of says the right thing, but behind your back, like every politician is saying the right thing, but then when you look at the policy, like someone will say to your face that they're doing XYZ, but then in reality they're contradicting your best interest, or they're sort of not acting in your best interest. And you have to do a lot more work to get to the bottom of what's actually going on. And it can make people very like disillusioned with the system.
I think there is a Stockholm syndrome component. There's no bipartisan cooperation. You just keep getting marginalized by the same people. I imagine it would be very, very gratifying in some cases to be like, okay, fucking, I'm on your side then. Subjugate other people of my community. But like there's a small but very vocal contingent of trans YouTubers that support like Jordan Peterson and the incel community or Trump's base. And I think there is a comfort, most likely, in performing to that expectation. Like there is a comfort in being, I'm the one Black friend of a Republican and fucking he loves me as a result because he needs me. I provide a service and I thus feel a little safer because, I've got Al-Qaeda's on my side, so they're not going to kill me. That kind of like sensation. And I don't believe that works at all. I think it benefits them temporarily, but as soon as their base is secure and they're in power again, they don't give a shit about you. It's not an issue for 4 years. I sympathize a lot. I don't think... I've experienced plenty of racism in the area I currently am now, but when I was in the US, I don't think I was ever at risk because I was just on the West Coast and in tech. Like, don't get me wrong, there's racism in its own way in tech, but I never felt like I was in physical danger. So it's very easy for me to lean back and go like, don't have any fucking guns, dude. Don't have any fucking guns and don't do this stuff and whatever. I understand the instinct. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a very hard issue, right? Because I feel like you end up in this like chicken and egg problem because of like the, no one should have guns, but the people that
are allowed to have guns and enforce these laws or whatever, enforce order, quote unquote, with guns are not trustworthy. So then, like, why would you relinquish your means of defending yourself if the people who are allowed to bear arms, or the people who are, you know, supposed to be enforcing rule of law are bearing arms, but you can't in good faith believe that they have your best interest at heart and could actively harm you because you have lots of evidence to support that? Then, like, why would you relinquish your means of defending yourself? Like, I get it. It's a hard, because it's like I am not, you know, pro gun in any way, but I can see why an individual will have a certain perspective. You know what I mean?
Certainly, yeah. And I'm so many miles away from growing up with gun culture. Quite literally, like geographically, I was far away from that. And there's like a very light one in the countryside where I grew up, because there's gun ownership for farmers, say, and the regulation is pretty light, so they don't necessarily have any kind of license or justification for it. It's just that there's an abundance of unregistered guns, and, you know, whatever. You can have a double-barreled shotgun to get off my land. Well, they don't sound like that, bizarrely. They don't sound like Southern Americans. Get off my land, or I'll put a slug right in your bloody chest, mate.
Get off me land.
I want to throw something to you. Okay?
Well, wait. Let me add just a little bit of flavor text to this discussion.
Flavor away.
So I went to school in Atlanta, and I met a lot of people from the South. I grew up in the South also.
Did you meet more people once you moved?
I would say yes, because I lived in kind of a bubble, like a liberal bubble in Gainesville, Florida, because it was like a college town. There's so many people who I went to college with who were, because I think I've always had my viewpoints more or less, but there were so many people who were like pro gun and pro this and pro that, and also so willing to have all these arguments about it, you know, like to sort of take you to task on if you know, I know a guy who I would consider a friend who was like very conservative, like politically. It was a big hunting guy and a big gun guy, and we went to college together.
From Atlanta?
He's from Texas, and he works in tech. Like he works at a big tech company and has a good job and is very like smart, and, you know, we have the same education and all this stuff, but from his like sort of upbringing, it was very conservative on some of these issues like gun control and stuff. There's always this cognitive dissonance for me, because there's nothing wrong with the guy, and I think that the guy is like a perfectly good dude. To his credit, he is a very open-minded person, right? Like, it's like I went to India with this guy for a wedding. You know, it's like he has friends of various cultures and is always like eager to engage in the culture and learn more about people's experiences. And he's never wronged me in any way. But I realized that, like, as I became a little bit more lucid as an adult, more so than when I was like 18, 20 years old, it became harder for me to square other stuff that comes with conservatism in America. It's just this weird thing where I'm just like, I don't think anything that you have done or said is wrong, but because of what you value and care about, like, you're definitely like, don't take my guns, liberals or whatever, or you're posting about silencers and magazines and things like that, and he knows a lot about guns. It's hard for me to understand how you can't put those interests aside, because in order to get what you want selfishly, it comes at the oppression and harm of so many people and groups. Like, because to support the people who support your hobbies, who will support legislation that supports your hobbies, you have to support people who are actively disenfranchising people and who actively like want to harm people who don't share the same values as them. And that's where it's like, you know, hold the phone. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't. Yeah. I think like the way that I square it in my head, and I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but like,
no, please.
The way that I square it in my head is like, they probably don't feel the sort of downstream harm that is caused by them supporting the people who like support a lot of the like less harmful ideas that they value. Yeah. If that makes sense. So it's like, I can understand if you're like essentially ignorant to this. At a certain point, it's hard for me to understand how like you make that logical leap. Like how you support, you know, ideas that you support, knowing that it comes with supporting that baby coming with all the, the harm that comes with it.
Don't get me wrong. I think there's some value in exploring bipartisanship, but I think bipartisanship, especially in the US, is broken. There is the US right. The more right you go, it's authoritarianism. There's Nazism in it. It to the degree where it's almost devalued the argument. It's like, no, it's not time for a kumbaya conversation with the Third Reich. It just is beyond forgiveness. It's patronizing to both parties to treat it as though it's anything but atrocious. It devalues the actual potential value of debate. It's I know I rant on him all the time, but like Ben Shapiro's entire aesthetic is, and same things with like Paul Joseph Watson, all those guys, debate me, like school debate. It's not actual philosophy or intellect. It's just the sport of it. Change my mind. Liberals and snowflakes, change my mind. It's the indulgence and the fun of the conflict. And that's not bipartisanship. The idea of just arguing with somebody, that's not bipartisanship. That's indulgence. You enjoy doing it. If that kind of conversation makes you a wreck, then it's not actually there to inform people. And I think there's a blocker for me, as with Kanye, as with the last 15 minutes of that interview, there is a blocker for me to be close to someone and for me to really want to spend time with them or to think about them too much, I have to respect them. And while I certainly had people argue that there's something like this should remove all respect, you can respect independent pieces of them. If I hear somebody say, I am, in so many words, I'm willing and able to put clear, unacceptable behavior. Somebody, especially if they're willing to admit that there is a massive hazard in not enforcing gun control, if that genuinely does result in school shootings. I can't respect somebody that can compartmentalize that. Not just because I think it's horrendous in that case, but it also says to me, if I was dating somebody like that, it would say to me outright, this person will probably cheat on me. They just will. It's very easy for them to lie to themselves or to indulge in things that they know are wrong. This person could be violent because them believing something doesn't mean they put it into practice, or they have the capacity that I genuinely just like cannot even imagine, which is to put away something so much more harmful for your own benefit. Like, don't get me wrong. I do selfish shit. I believe that I'm not very good at recycling, right? I should probably do that. It's relatively little work. People will argue the efficacy of it. Industrial waste does so much more. Sure, but it's no work, and why not do it? However, me not doing that, I believe, doesn't like create a social and emotional standard where I can then say, well, yeah, but I wanted to kill him. I was really angry, so the guy I killed, it just doesn't matter. That the knock-on effect of being willing and able to compartmentalize fucked up shit removes my ability to respect. And if I can't respect someone, I just don't really want to get lunch with them.
Yeah, like I think one thing that kind of seems like to play into the compartmentalization or the capacity to do that is the very individualistic culture of America.
Yeah.
You see this with COVID stuff, like when I went to Japan for the first time, I was so surprised to see people wearing masks regularly. And this is in like 2014 or whatever. And I was like, what does everybody have like some sort of contagion situation? But
Cowards.
then it's like, oh no, these people just have a cold. They want to protect the people around them
with a tiny inconvenience.
With a tiny inconvenience. And then you sort of fast forward to America experiencing stuff with masks where it's like people are marching through Target proudly professing that they're not going to wear a mask because of whatever they're telling themselves. The only thing that makes sense to me is that like the culture of America doesn't, like the sort of Kool-Aid that we're drinking is not very, very much about the community. And that's what kills me is that like, I mean, literally it could. It's super upsetting because I don't know the solution to that. I don't know how to teach empathy to all of the people that lack it right now.
Yeah. And there's, don't get me wrong, there's like a pretty cogent argument that, hey, it's not our job to educate, but it kind of fucking is. Because or what? Or what's the alternative other than pushing back against those kind of what I would consider to be fucked up ideologies? What are we doing? What's the strat here? Is the strat to just take the break, is to take a step back? I believe that should be the right thing. Yeah, I don't think it's fair that we have to push back. And I say we, not as in we've got this platform, we've got to save America. I mean we as a people.
Yeah.
You and me as people of color, you and me are as people of what we believe to be politically responsible and politically ethical.
Yeah.
You and me as people in part that do have a platform. You especially, you have a very significant platform. And I think another thing that creators unfortunately are able to do is compartmentalize the thing that they're saying for self-indulgence into, I'm just seeing it. I'm just saying a thing. It's just a tiny little bit of transphobia, like whatever. But the knock-on effect of 500,000 people watching a video where you dead named somebody, even by accident, quote accident, you could edit that out. You could fix that. You're clearly not aware of it or care enough to be aware of it.
Yeah.
Is, let's say, rule of large numbers, 0.5% of the people watching it consider themselves to be somewhere else on the gender binary. Now they feel bad. Now you made a bunch of people feel bad, and you showcased like what they, at least a portion of those people probably idolize you.
Yeah.
And you fucked it up for somebody that idolized them. That's a scab, That's an emotional scab that will leave a tiny scar forever.
Yeah.
All for the, right to enjoy your joke or script a little more.
Yeah, and that's like why it's bittersweet when I get a DM from someone that's like, I got a DM today. Somebody was like, hey, I'm a trans man. Like, it means a lot that you have your, like, as a cis het guy, it means a lot that you have your pronouns in your bio. And I'm like, you're welcome. It's the least I can do. But it also sucks that, like, that's not a thing that you can just expect. Because, like, we live in a culture where someone, by simply living their life and trying to, like, be true to their own identity, is expecting to be oppressed. That sucks,
Yeah.
Especially being black in this country, there's like a lot of stuff there, and just like so many artifacts of the past that, like if someone tells me that systemic racism doesn't exist, I can't not think you're dumb. Because it's as if you're telling me that the earth is flat. Like, there is so much evidence to the contrary, and yet you're still choosing to believe this because it makes you more comfortable, and you're not listening to the large majority of people who are actively in pain telling you that, like, you're hurting them, sometimes literally saying that they can't breathe, and yet you persist with your oppression because it makes you feel powerful. How weak do you have to be?
How intellectually lazy are you?
Intellectually, and also just like morally bankrupt and weak do you have to be to like need to feel powerful by oppressing others? Like that's true weakness to me. The fact that you can only feel strong if you're doing things that like a toxic culture has told you make you big and strong. It's like, I always like when people are like say this shit to me, it's like, if I want to trigger them or whatever, it's like, dude, guess what? I'm like rich and famous and smart and everyone loves me, and I'm weak by your standards, and you hate yourself, and you don't have people that love you. How bad does it suck to like have joined this team and just fucking dig your feet in on this nonsense? It's
which,
just like,
I mean, only creates like a gambling fallacy, like another confirmation bias. Like, well, I'm gonna need some value out of this situation, so maybe if I hate outwardly a little more, it'll bring some value in.
Also, just real quick disclaimer, I'm not rich or famous. I just like, that's an exaggeration when I want to put someone down who is being toxic.
Receipts available,
and I don't even say it out loud. I usually just say it in my head.
Oh, I think part of that is why I don't want to spend the energy, because you would still feel bad about that irrationally. And
I would still feel bad about that
because these people are not gonna change it.
Because it's not, because doing something like that externally to someone isn't who I am, nor do I think it's productive. It's me taking the bait and playing into someone else's game, and it doesn't serve anyone except for my own ego. So why do I need to make myself feel strong by putting someone else down? So that's why I don't actually say that, because it's exactly the same playbook that these other people are doing. And if I ever like do wade into that playbook, it's not, I mean, I'm human, and it's not something I'm trying to do. But the other thing is, I can see the option. You know what I mean? I can see like the fork in the road where it's like, well, you can do the thing that's easy and toxic, where you just like sort of puff up your chest and try to like look strong or scare off a predator or whatever. Like, oh, I'm actually big and strong. Didn't you notice? Or you can, I don't know, think for a second and not stoop to that level. I don't know, man.
I'm sure that maybe there's one or two people in here who have at least lightly play in the what do they call themselves, the intellectual elite or whatever, the YouTube Gamergate supporting incel red pill aesthetic kind of.
Oh, good
community.
Lord, we're ruffling all the feathers. Yeah.
Well, I say this not with I don't want to fight or debate you. I'm not interested in your ideology.
Yeah.
Just as you could be disinterested in mine. I don't give a shit. Whatever. Let's do our own thing, because I don't believe that you're going to change your opinion. So I'm not seeking it. You do you, I guess. The thing that I find so painful, and painful really is the expression, because it's the sensation of wanting to help someone, or at least wanting to present an opportunity to feel less pain, and instead see somebody continue to shoot themselves in the foot, but purely because they think that shooting themselves in the foot is going to bring them fulfillment. And the less and less it does that, the more and more they shoot themselves in the foot, because they've subscribed to the idea that it's going to make them feel better. I want to reach out ever so briefly, and I've expressed this on the podcast before, but I think I want to say it quite often, is if you have a very strict ideology that you've learned from, let's just call it academics or personalities, influences in your realm of influence, go ahead and examine those beliefs, especially ones that push back aggressively against what we would call pretty widely held facts, a la the shape of the globe, or the shape of a mask, wear it, please, put it on your nose, or the shape of a gun on your body. If you happen to hold, or a really common one is the inherent evil and importance of power structures. Power structures have to exist, and women have a chemical evil within them and must be controlled. If you happen to subscribe to something like that, even a slightly lighter one, just take a second, step back and go, do the ideas that I subscribe to make me feel better? Is
it because I have my own insecurities and these kind of wash away any responsibility that I have? Yeah.
What is strange? Because it's not convenient for us to want the Earth to be round. It's not convenient for us to believe that the planet's fucking on fire. That doesn't do anything for me. I would love to go to bed and not worry about that. I would love to think about the idea of having kids and not imagine how the hell they're going to survive in the smog-fueled post-war nuclear hellscape that they're most likely going to be in.
Yeah.
But I am not allowed to, on a moral and academic level, ignore it. And it's fucking lazy to.
Yeah.
It's indulgent and lazy to. And if you happen to be in a situation, you happen to be an incel, quite literally an involuntary celibate, and you are seeking love and affection, physical affection, emotional security, of course you're going to sign up to the idea that there's a reason outside of luck and you that it's not happening.
It's so crazy too, yeah. It's so crazy that, like, because it's like, I remember like being a kid who was like, man, nobody likes me.
Yeah.
And it's like
I'm being friend zoned.
It's just like imagining again that fork in the road where I'm like, maybe the reason that people aren't interested in me romantically is random chance or a misreading of the situation. I could have not thought people were interested in me because I was bad at reading the cues of someone taking interest in me, you know? And so I'm like believing a narrative about myself and my own life that isn't true. But then there's the alternative that's like, no, I want the sex now. The reason I can't have it is because women are bad.
Yeah.
It's like,
God, that was a quick solution. That was a sentence.
Wow, so
and I can
easy.
Feel better
Wow.
about it.
And it's like, but it's like, bro, it's not even that you've done anything wrong necessarily. It could just be random chance, or it could be that you're misreading shit, or it could be that you have stuff to improve on. But then, like, digging in your feet into the women are bad camp is what will guarantee that you don't get what you want.
Worst case scenario.
It's like, how? It's crazy.
There's definitely a camp of people that will hate you and unconditionally. And if you were bullied, it's because the bullies were shitty unconditionally. but we're over here. Keep doing this, Kanye. Come on over to this side. If you're looking for support and feel like you're not being welcomed into a community of people that may have, I mean, we're going to reference romantic interest because fucking they call themselves incels. Like this, it's really hard to avoid that. That's one of the major motivating factors. But people just want to feel cared about. People want to feel loved. If the number one thing you're insecure about that is, come on, okay, buddy, come on over. Come on, I'm so sorry that's happening to you, but I don't think it's because you have a lack of merit or you don't know what's happening. I think I'm decently good at reading whether or not people are interested in me now.
Yeah.
And I think it happened a year ago. Like I did not have the toolkit, but I did not have it because I was just like you. I was genetically predisposed to never understand. I was like, I'll never have sex. I don't know what's happening. Nope. You have a whole community right over here. Maybe you don't live next to them, but you can certainly find them, and they don't have to be red pillars. There's plenty of people independent from anime avatar Twitter. Don't default to that as what liberal is. Come on over, listen to Sad Boys, 5-star rated review. Obviously, donate to the show, subscribe, both on the podcast feed and also the Twitch, obviously. That's what it's all about. It's where you get into art, the money and awards. But it's not that there's no other path for you. The Red Pill Incel community is not the only community that will make you feel better or safer. There are others. They might be a little harder to find.
And I would argue that community is not making you feel better. It's making you feel validated, but I don't know that it's making you feel good. It seems like if any community that you're around is built around hating something or someone, how could that make you feel good? Unless, like, I don't know, like maybe it does, but I just can't imagine that that's the only option, especially because it's like it creates a zero-sum game where one doesn't exist, where it's like, oh, in order for me to feel good, these other people have to be bad. It's like, no, we can all actually be like good and valid in our own way, and nothing's actually holding you back from any of the things that you want except for circumstance and maybe yourself. It's like, it's not that serious.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a teensy-weensy bit. Like, whether or not you subscribe to the idea that Kanye knows what he's doing, it's for his brand, or Kanye doesn't, like, it's kind of in the realm of exactly what we've said about Kanye, which is, I get it. I get that this is a useful thing for you to describe to in the immediate future, but you're cutting yourself off from the influence that you could have built. Like, Kanye had the kind of platform where he could have been beloved and pushed. I mean, hey, if you want to push ideology, push something you do genuinely care about and fully understand it and not been manipulated into. But vulnerable people will jump on the nearest life raft you can find. If Nazi life craft comes along the water and I'm stuck, I just went down on the Titanic, I'm like, fucking yeah, dude. Yeah. Let's go. I feel that way about every community you hate also. And I think in Kanye's case, a degree of his mental health, certainly, and the death of his mother played into fucking, and I'm terrified, and I'm in this new level of fame and notoriety that is exhausting, and I'm everything is getting worse. Yeah, maybe it would be nice to join the gang that's saying that I'm welcome right now. Like, I'm being scrutinized by the other side of the pendulum, and they're challenging the things that I've said or the ethics I've taken or like the abundant wealth that I have. They don't like that. Well, maybe I'll just go over here then, because these guys are saying that they like me because they want me as a platform and they want me to espouse their beliefs to a largely black audience that will listen to what I say. I can have that right now. I can go on this subreddit and I can feel better right now, or I can try at what feels like a gamble to improve myself and find a community somewhere. It's
like it goes back to like internal versus external locus of control, where like if you feel like the world is happening to you versus like you have any sort of ability to affect change on your surroundings or your own life or whatever, like if you have a big external locus of control, then like you're like, oh, it's everyone else's doing something to me, because I see that in my life outside of these like super problematic things too, you know, like I think when I was younger I played the victim for attention. Like I would be like, oh, woe is me, someone pay me attention, but secretly I knew, or like privately I knew that I was Like, I think about my self-esteem a lot, and where I land on it is I've always thought highly of myself. What was frustrating was that I didn't have the external validation to like give me hard, like scientific evidence on what I believe.
Hypothesis, I'm pretty good and I should love myself.
Yeah.
No study group, no data.
Yeah. And that was a thing where it's like there was just like a lot of framing and narrative. Like there was a lot of framing issues and like how I was looking at stuff. And that's like that was the issue. And then when I started to fix that, everything basically got better. But I do also know people who are just like, woe is me, everything bad is happening. And it's like, I don't know about you, but like I've talked to people who like when they describe their lives, it's like, wow, that sounds like a extremely long series of unfortunate events that's like probabilistically impossible. Like there's no way that all of that negative has happened to you and not a single lick of positive whatsoever. I think that what may actually be happening is that this is a narrative that you are using to garner sympathy, which is something that I did as a young person as well. So it's like I know the playbook. I can see that shit coming.
Sympathy from yourself as well.
The sympathy
like
from yourself.
But yeah, it's kind of a magic Jarvis in a way.
Indeed.
Yeah, we haven't had an episode like this since like rant, like / rant, the second episode after we got back. Some vibes, some feelings to express.
We'll end this episode of Sad Boys in a second, but Jordan, you're going to talk about something for like roughly a minute while I solve this Rubik's Cube. Starting
no doubt.
now.
Hey, people, did you know that you can find Jarvis at Jarvis on a couple of different platforms? One you can't do it on is YouTube, which when you think about it is kind of funny. Like it's actually kind of insanely embarrassing that you can't. He thinks he's hot shit, but actually he's failed in a kind of embarrassing context. He thinks he do a Rubik's Cube. He think I'm smart boy, not smart boy. He no good actually turns out. Hey, other people, you can find me at Jordan Adika, Adika. Why that? Because it's my middle name, and I should say my name in the thing that I promote. I promise I'm not just trying to inconvenience you. It really is a name that I have. You can also find Sad Boys now. Yeah. Twitter and Instagram is just Sad Boys. Isn't that crazy? You can just do that. You can just go to /Sad Boys and we'll be right there. We're trying to post a little bit more than we normally can.
I solved it. I did the Rubik's
And if you want to be kind and good, be nice and good to your friends. Right now, I imagine that you have an uncharacteristically high number of people struggling in your life and in the world, and they probably really, really appreciate it if you just said hi, and I hope you're not doing as bad as I imagine you could be.
Dang. That was great.
Now, I'm going to imagine doing a Rubik's Cube while you say something.
Jordan's a big, smart boy, and he's very good and big and smart. And the place that you can't find him is nowhere because he's everywhere at Jordan Adika. That's Jordan Adika, JordanAdika. It's his middle name.
Especially Twitch.
Especially Twitch. That's his new passion. He's very into it. If you're listening to the video version of the podcast, we also have an audio version of the podcast. It's available anywhere you can find podcasts. And if you're listening to the audio
version, not on
version,
Spotify, surely, Jarvis.
Definitely on Spotify. Because I don't know, we get so many people who are like, "Is your podcast isn't on Spotify?" Yeah. And I'm like, "Is it not?" And then I'm like, "No, it's been on Spotify since 2017."
Lauren, Naz, N-E-Z, they're very active in my Twitch. They're very active in this Twitch. Thank you so much, Lauren. They suggested that you guys should end Sad Boys by giving each other compliments. I kind of fucking love that.
Did they say freestyle compliments or?
Somebody said freestyle compliments.
Oh, okay.
I feel like we're limited in what we can say in a freestyle compliment.
All right.
I can go.
Go ahead.
I am constantly in awe of how quickly you get over drops in your enthusiasm about your career and creativity. You'll hit a little wall, as we all do, but then you just kind of tear it past your body and get back into it, no hesitation.
Oh, thank you. Jordan, I am consistently impressed with your sense of style, with your wit, and the ability that you have to, like, I don't know. I just think you like put yourself together very well also. I like that.
Thanks, man.
I like that a lot.
Well, that's very sweet.
All right. We end every episode of Sad Boys with a particular phrase. The phrase is cuck. No, just kidding. We end every episode of Sad Boys with a particular phrase. We love you.
And we're sorry.
Boom!
Gucci girl, how you doing? How you moving, girl? Moving, girl. How's your day looking? That future, girl. Future girl, yeah, we on now. Take my money, go away, oh, you want it. Girl, too rich for me.